Welcome back to Live from Paris. It's time now for Campaign Chronicles. With just 12 days to go, this really is the final countdown to France's presidential vote. The outcome of the poll seems harder to call than ever, though, with things very tight at the top between Nicolas Sarkozy and François Hollande, and neither Marine Le Pen nor Jean-Luc Mélenchon at the extremes ready to give up on their hard-fought struggle for that crucial third place. For now, on this, I'm joined by our press reviewer, Elena Casas. Elena, thanks very much for being with us. Everything could still change, of course, at the last minute.
Well, yes, that's what some of the papers are saying. Now, with 12 days to go, you'd expect most voters to have made up their minds by now. But as Libération points out on their front page, there's a lot of big questions that still need to be answered. Firstly, how low is turnout going to be? We've had a number of polls with pretty bleak predictions for turnout, saying as many as 32% of voters plan not to go to the polls. Then there's the question of who's going to come top of that first round. The paper says Nicolas Sarkozy badly needs to come top above François Hollande, even though they go to a runoff 2 weeks later, because he just doesn't have as many reserves of votes as Hollande does. Hollande's got 5 different left-wing candidates behind him. He can fairly safely bet that all of their voters will go for him in the second round. Sarkozy doesn't have that kind of reserve, so he's very much focusing on the first round at the moment. Then there's the question of the centrists. François Bayrou, centrist leader, not doing terribly well in the polls, but both Hollande and Sarkozy realise that his voters are ground that they could possibly win over. So they're trying to work out how those people could be manipulated, how they can be persuaded, rather, to pick one of the other candidates. Then there's the question of third place. There's quite a tight row going on there. As you pointed out, it looks less and less likely that Bayrou will come in third because he is doing so badly. But both Marine Le Pen and Jean-Luc Mélenchon have been attacking each other very personally over the course of recent weeks, both really vying for that third spot.
Now, it does suggest, rather, Elena, that with 12 days to go, many voters are pretty uninspired by the choice they have before them.
Well, that's certainly what Libération is saying in their editorial. They say that really explains the appeal both of extremist candidates and of abstention, of staying at home, because the main candidates just aren't inspiring people. Nicolas Sarkozy remains pretty unpopular, and François Hollande, well, even those who plan to vote for him, 2/3 of them say it's just to get rid of Nicolas Sarkozy. They're not really passionate about their candidate. Now, analysts have been saying for a long time that this kind of feeling of disenchantment with mainstream politics was more likely to favour Marine Le Pen than anybody else. But that doesn't actually seem to be happening. She's falling in the polls. She's still carrying on fighting. She gives an interview to Le Figaro today in which she says that she's the only true anti-system candidate. That's the platform that she's running on, of course, that she's outside the mainstream of all the other parties, and she's kind of trying to draw people to her who feel disenchanted with the system. She's attacking far-left candidate Jean-Luc Mélenchon on that territory, of course. She tells Le Figaro he's just a product of the system he's pretending to be against.
Now, not doing terribly well, though.
Well, no, not among the population generally. Her vote has been falling consistently for the last 3 months, despite the Toulouse shootings, despite the fact that security and law and order have become more of a campaign subject, despite the fact that people widely feared she'd be able to profit from this. She hasn't. But in today's Le Monde, there's a big caveat to that. They've done a poll of just 18 to 25-year-old voters, and she came top of all the candidates among that age group. That's a big turnaround from the last poll done of them 3 months ago, which had François Hollande clearing up nearly half of young people's votes. Now he's on 25% in that group, she's on 26%. Why, then? The newspaper says it's partly because for that group, they don't really remember her father, Jean-Marie Le Pen. They don't remember his anti-Semitic pronouncements that were so controversial for their parents' generation. They don't really see the Front National as a party apart, which a lot of their parents would. They've been brought up with them. They see them as part of the media mainstream because they've got so much media attention in recent years. There's also the fact that a lot of young people just feel the system has let them down. Either they have no jobs, the jobs that they're in are poorly paid or unstable, they've got endless internships, it don't seem to be achieving the lifestyle that their parents had. A lot of them are worried they just won't ever get to the same feeling of stability in their jobs and financially that their parents have. And as a result, they feel they've been left behind by the major political parties. And what they choose to do then is go for this anti-system vote, to choose, in some cases, the far-left candidate Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who also does well for lots of similar reasons among young people, but a lot of them increasingly choosing Marine Le Pen. Of course, she's stolen some economic policies from the far left. A lot of her talk talk of trying to bring back jobs to France that have been outsourced abroad and create jobs in France is, if you like, quite similar to Mélenchon's. But of course, it's on the question of immigration that they really differ. Mélenchon certainly has pulled no punches in accusing her of being racist and fascist, because he's trying to convince those voters, those disenchanted voters, that her explanation, which effectively is you don't have any jobs because immigrants have taken them away, he's trying to convince them that viewpoint is wrong, whereas it does seem to be playing pretty well, particularly with the young.
Elena Casas with the very latest from the French campaign trail. Thanks very much indeed for all of that. That was Campaign Chronicles. In just a few minutes, we're going to be back with all the very latest headlines, and in particular, that renewed pressure from Turkey over Syria. We're just hearing that Ahmet Davutoglu, Turkey's foreign minister, is cutting short his trip to China to return to Turkey to monitor events there. This is, of course, ever since the violence spilt over yesterday and shots were fired on refugees on the Turkish side of the border by Syrian forces. The country's prime minister has said that he will be monitoring developments and on taking necessary measures to respond to this clear violation, which is what he called it. You can follow all the latest news, get all the latest headlines, but also catch up with all the very latest reports from all our correspondents around the world on our website at www.france24.com, which is just as our television channels, available in French, in English and in Arabic. In just a couple of minutes, the very latest headlines. Do stay with us.
George Clooney, Bono, Angelina Jolie and more. They're all among a growing celebrity diplomatic corps. We might be prepared to change our favourite brand of shampoo because of a celebrity endorsement, but are decision makers really changing their policies thanks to stars? More importantly, should they be doing so? That's what we're investigating in Beyond Business on France 24.
Don't miss Beyond Business, today, 10:15 a.m. Paris time on France 24. Get presidential election news first with the leading French media group worldwide. France 24, Monte Carlo Doualiya and RFI coming together to bring you up-to-the-minute coverage. Don't miss 2 election-filled evenings with our political pundits and guests. Our correspondents will be reporting live from candidates' headquarters and the world's capitals. Stay on top of developments with an interactive website, a smartphone app, or even an iPad device. Our new staff is on the move for you. Join France 24, Monte Carlo Doualiya and RFI. Get the election news first, no matter where it happens.